What does Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 hide behind the scenes in the Huggy chase and recycling area? Chapter 5 kicks off with an explosive chase as we delve deeper underground. There's lots to see, but lots to easily miss too. So what can we find hiding out of bounds? What if we explore off-limits areas and break the game? Well, we'll be doing all of that in this video, including slow-motion examinations and even exploring the underground village in the cave. So let's see what this chapter hides off camera. I hope you enjoy. As always, I'll hit you with a brief recap, and then circle back around to break that portion of the game. Chapter 5 starts with Huggy Wuggy banging on the door before he eventually breaks it open. We must run for our life through this small tutorial area as we duck down as Huggy reaches for us. We end up on a conveyor belt like good old times after falling through the vents. We must then pull metal coverings off as Huggy smashes the glass, eventually chasing after us through the conveyor tracks. We have to open a gate with our blue hand before narrowly escaping Huggy again as we fall into a vent system. We end up sliding down to a large room with a window overlooking a cave before the floor gives out below us. We then move some boxes and make our way back into a vent. Let's pause here now. So back at the beginning, let's take a look at Huggy smashing this door. It's a glorious sight, if I must say so myself, as he punches straight through the glass, bends it forward and steps out as he shrieks into the Naruto run pose. If Huggy manages to jump scare you, you can see that he'll move with the camera as well, which can look a bit funky. This area is more fun to explore without Huggy, so I dropped him into the void. First things first, I wanted to go back to Chapter 4's area. Normally, there's an invisible wall preventing us, even if the door is gone. But if we get around it, we are free to explore. All the plant beds are dead, and there's nothing growing. There's also holes in the wall too. A little bit out in the distance, I spotted a T-posing Huggy beneath the level. He looks so happy. The back of the room just leads out into the void though, and it is cut off. There are also a lot of side rooms in this area we can't normally access. This one off to the right is empty, and beyond the set of double doors is the void. But there's some industrial rooms we can fly through with the camera too, since we normally wouldn't see them like this. We can get a cinematic shot of the burning hallway too, since we normally run through it quickly. As we pass through the crawl space, Huggy reaches out for an aggressive high five before junk crashes down. Watching this happen in slow motion is kinda neat. Huggy will lay out completely, and then as he retracts his hand, he'll start getting up and get yoinked backwards. He'll snap to another position for a brief moment before unloading. As we enter the vent, we will be able to see Huggy walking below us. But what we can't see is that Huggy is T-posing by the wall. When we step in, he'll snap to his animation and start walking forward. When he gets to the end, he'll turn around and wait in an idle pose. If we go down by him, into this off-axis area, we can see he walked out of a door that was sealed with concrete. Getting near that door will kill us though. Huggy can't hurt us down here, and he will just stand still and wait for us to progress. We are free to explore this area though, as it's a place we usually only get a very limited view of. Everything has collision, surprisingly. If we warp farther on the track without triggering the fall, we'll see that the glass breaks on its own, and then suddenly, Huggy appears to jump scare us. So something we can't see is that Huggy normally goes around this bend. The developers actually just have him standing right here out of sight until we get past the compactors. Also, when Huggy is smashing the glass, he'll never actually break through if we aren't near him. We will die only if he hits the glass enough before we move in front of it. Look at him go. Speaking of him breaking the glass, this is what the animation looks like when it plays out in slow motion. He's very proud of his destruction by the looks of it. To mess with the game some, I wanted to start the conveyor belt chase and let Huggy run on his own, so I moved myself into the hallways. We can see Huggy will move forward, going through the tunnels, and it's pretty creepy looking. He takes some wide turns though, and clips through stuff. Watching this with a cinematic camera is kind of fun. Huggy's head will just clip through stuff too, which would look very strange if you looked behind you during the chase. He will then dive down for the vent punch as he reaches in for you. He'll slide on back, stand up, and will then unload. But now we can explore this place at our own pace. If we get rid of this first metal grate here, it will actually take us to near the end of the chase. There's a small office area we normally cannot go inside, but I go inside it anyways. This is what the interior looks like. Also, there's a model ship in here, which is neat. The door in the back won't open, and if we remove it, we can walk out of bounds. Now, when we get into this next area, there's some cool things to check out. For one, here's a look around that center column in the room. The walkway in the back leads to a solid wall, as you can see. Now normally we fall down a level, but if we skip past where we fell, we can walk up to these doors. Getting rid of one of these doors shows that it never led anywhere except into the next room's upper wall. Outside the walls though, we can see a little deck that has containers on it, and a series of crane-like pulleys that lead way off into a cave. This area is massive, and usually these types of things end up using wrapped image renders serving as skyboxes. But this whole thing is modeled. I decided to move myself on top of the crane, and we can run all the way out into the cave. You can see that all these things hanging down below have collision, as my flare gun can land on them. However, the cave back here does not have collision. We simply fall through it. We can get a better look at this village though. It's very low poly, but we can see what looks like a factory and several buildings, possibly homes even. The cave itself goes on for quite a while, and it gets very, very bright back here. It's a very beautiful environment to check out with the camera. In the next room, if we move these boxes over here first, we can find a secret collectible. There's nothing really else in this area, so let's now move on. So we drop down below as a box falls, and we use it to help us break into this vent. As we are going through the vent, Huggy will punch down at us from up above, which then takes us to another conveyor belt. We have to hurry and open these red door scanners before Huggy can get us. We then swing over this pit and say goodbye to the blue demon. Well, for a moment, while we take a shower. In the next room, we need to turn off the gas and then twist this valve. But Huggy will Hulk smash into the room and chase us again. We run into the new hole he made and then find ourselves in an elevator. As we descend, Huggy attacks, and we must dodge him. Eventually we scan our red hand, and Huggy steals our grab pack while getting shocked, ultimately causing the elevator to crash. Let's check all this out again now, but while messing with the game. So first up, the small box that falls just appears out of nowhere. Not that interesting, but figured I'd show it. However, the vents are more interesting. As we walk through them, we can see that Huggy Wuggy will appear above them as he punches downward. Up top, his legs are just sticking in the air, and his face is smushed into the small space. He eventually retracts upwards and unloads. We can find him over here in a T-pose, and you can see here how this model is laying flat above the vent area. So it is impossible to evade Huggy if he comes after you, as you can't go back up in the vent. But I wanted to try anyways. For starters, I wanted to get into these two rooms off to the right that are off access. They are fully explorable, and we can walk out to where Huggy spawns. Unfortunately, even back here, we are not safe, as Huggy can still kill us with his huge hitbox. Next, let's take a look and see where Huggy comes from. As we scan our red hand, we can see Huggy will spawn in behind this corner, fall down, and walk outward. He will then start swatting at the robotic arms, which act as barriers. We have to make it down here before he destroys them all. Or do we? I hacked my way back into the vent we were in previously, and now we can watch Huggy run to the end. We'll see that Huggy will stand up and return to an idle pose once he reaches the end, as his head clips through the roof like a goof. His hitbox is still huge though, so big woof. Way out in space, we can find another copy of Huggy Wuggy, just standing in his idle animation as well. He's very far away from where we are, so I'm not sure what this one is for. Moving on, after we cross the pit, Huggy retreats, and we can see he goes around this corner and just stops moving. If we go back over there, we can see that he's no longer a threat, and we can just smack him with our hands to show him who's boss. Now in the fire room, we have some other things out of bounds. Huggy Wuggy is stored here until he is needed. He's just standing on a small piece of ground in a T-pose, menacingly. Over here we can find Huggy punching outward, over and over. More info on that very soon. Now when we grab the handle down below, Huggy will explode out of the wall like the Kool-Aid Man in a war. Normally your vision is obscured by special effects, but he swings his stump arm through his body. Out of bounds, we'll see he is now gone. Huggy will crawl over this section and then yell at us as the chase begins. At the elevator, we can see that after we shut the door on Huggy, the map around us will unload, and he will start to slowly fall. The reaching, or punching Huggy is still out of bounds, but now you can see how he's actually used for this elevator scene. He will be moved above the areas he will punch through, and they'll just slide him in and out as he punches your ride full of holes. It's actually quite clever, and I like how they pulled this scene off. It's like reverse Whack-A-Wuggy. When we lose the grab pack, we'll see Huggy will reach down and grab it, as his body is floating above. After getting shocked, we normally get turned around, and then Huggy's arm elongates again to grab it and pull it out of view. The grab pack unloads, and Huggy and the elevator both start traveling downward, eventually leading to a scene load as it crashes. Once we awaken, we're in a dark place. We must navigate through this area while activating light switches, so the Automoles lurking in the dark don't jump scare us. We repeat this process for a while, until we pick up Chip from the game Glitched Out, who acts as both a flashlight and blacklight. We eventually find a master key, and use it on this push door from behind with no keyhole. Wait, what? Anyways, soon after we get mugged by this dude, who plans on harvesting our organs. Before the gremlin, Giblet saves us. We follow him back, get a surprise visit from the prototype, and then end up in his crib. He sends us down to the boilers as we head through a few rooms, ultimately running into a Megabron, who's getting eaten like SpongeBob in a Meat Canyon video. We jack the secret formula from Bron's mouth, giving us our grab pack, and then acquire a new hand. This lets us pressurize stuff and move this thing over to make a bridge, thus leading to a very frustrating climbing section that I'd rather not remember. But now that the recap's done, let's get weird. So right behind the elevator, we'll find a pack of 4 Automoles frozen in the void. Not sure why they are here, but if we look across the map, we'll see them everywhere. We can get some close-ups too, and really check these guys out. The very first one that runs out after the first light goes through this doorway and then gets pulled underground like so. Also, the jump scares are a bit odd, as we can see they jump at us, pummel our face in, T-pose and dominance, and then warp back to where they were. This guy here looks extra creepy, and I just wanted to show him off. Speaking of, there's a light switch you hit, and this guy will just run through a paper. You can see this in regular gameplay too, which is a bit jarring. This next area doesn't really make sense to me. So you cross over these pipes as some critters are chatting, but you can jump down on top of the tent safely, and then fall a distance of 2 feet and die anywhere in the room. Or you can fall a distance of 7 feet in the next room and survive. I feel like having an animation of the critters killing you would have made this make more sense. So when we come around this corner, we can watch this guy jump out of the ground and beat us up. We can also for some reason see Giblet's staff floating from this tent. Meanwhile, underground Giblet has a really long arm, just waiting to attack our kidnapper. He will jump out of the ground as his staff warps into his hand, and the attacker will run off to the side as they freeze in place, unloading a moment later. When Giblet opens the metal gate, if we stand in front of him, he'll just pick us up with it. He's a very strong lad. In the next room, as we take shelter, we'll see the prototype stroll up. Normally you can't see his face yet, nor his T-posing, 3-armed, questionable salute, but only the legs need to be animated for this shot. We'll watch him prance around before he ends up stabbing a critter with his 40-inch stilettos. His other mother hand then scoops them up as they float in space before unloading. I feel like if you move this guy's circle face down to his legs, we'd have Choo Choo Charles on our hands, with a dash of Pomni. After ruining our day, the prototype will walk off into the wall and unload, only to reappear, stab the ground, and vanish a moment later. That was quite the close one. Next, if we peer outside Giblet's window, we'll see a giant pile of trash and a cave. If we zoom out through this, we'll see that it's several layers lined up in 3D space to create the illusion of a giant environment, unlike the fully modeled cave we saw earlier. On our way to Big Bron, if you climb up this section over here, you can travel through the vents and get into this room for an audio tape. This podcast will last you all the way into Bron's place. Bron's looking pretty glorious up top for all the turmoil that's going on down below. If we stop the structure on the middle bridge, we can jump across for another audio tape. Beyond this, the scaffolding room with the ceiling handles doesn't really have anything remarkable in it, as I wasn't able to find anything out of bounds. This then leads us to the biodiversity labs. And with that, that's everything I found hidden and broke in Huggy's chase and Giblet's domain. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look. Subscribe now, and why not subscribe to my other channel for shorter vids that don't make it on this one. Cheers!